We also appreciate when you support us. In '96, at the age of 28, I was challenging a cabinet minister for a parliamentary seat. I had no money, no nothing. But the young people themselves, an example is this Odongauto here. He was a student at Gulo High School. He was kicked out of school because he left school pushing my car. Of course, my car was permanently reading on the gauge E, meaning empty, but we used to say enough. He did his exams from out. I won the elections. Eventually, he came to university. I looked for him and invited him to lunch in Parliament. He reminded me the other day. I told him, being in Parliament is not such a big deal. You can also come here. Now, that is proper mentorship. Many older people, when they meet young people, they say, there is no way. Why don't you try councillor sub-county? You can't manage. This thing requires a lot of money. Yes. Where will you get the money? Now, if an elder starts talking to you like that, quickly forge a phone call and exit. Is that what, just hold your phone and say, excuse me, I need to answer this call. Then you come back and say, I'm sorry, I have to leave, I'll look for you again. Because that one is a person bringing an eclipse in your life. Avoid those kind of people. Because I told Odongauto that, he reminded me the other day, he said, I never even asked you for transport money. I was so inspired, I walked all the way to Makerere. Indeed, in 2001, Odongauto was an MP. Because someone he believed in told him, you can do it. That is the most important thing we can do for you. Not to ridicule you. We all walked. I used to sleep in a store in Nakulabye. Because I told my father, I'm not coming back home to Jinja. I'm going to be in Kampala. I either make it or I die trying. The first break I got, because I couldn't get a job, I tried to be a state attorney, I passed the interview, I was denied the job. I wanted to be a magistrate grade 1, I passed the interview, I was denied the job. I went to work for an NGO, I was sabotaged. One day there was an advert for an essay writing contest by the American Embassy for the whole of Africa. I borrowed the typewriter and henpecked the essay with 2 fingers. I was announced as one of the winners. I went and shook hands with the American ambassador. Later, he gave me an air ticket to go to America for what they call Young African Leaders Program. So, opportunities are all around you. But if you're only looking at the person in front of you and you think he's blocking you, you turn your head and see other things. Don't just look in one direction. Let me close. The majority of Ugandans today who are active, whether they are going to be main reactants in the politics or catalysts, is beside the point, but they must be active. This is the generation born in the 80s and 90s. The first generation of Ugandan leaders are already marching out. I think we only have Kivei Jinja, maybe Moses Ali, maybe Edward Sekandi. Those born in the 20s and 30s. That was the generation that laid the foundation. They made some mistakes. We don't have time to talk about it. The next generation is the generation born in the 40s and 50s. They are the ones ruling us now. They have the most money, they have the most power. Then the third generation is the Nobert Mao generation, the one that has been stuck in traffic jam. So we are hiding in corporate bodies, we are running banks, we are commanding units of the army, that's where we are hiding in NGOs. Catherine is one of us. And I'm her president, because at least we managed to score a point in Makerere. We are the ones who do the good and dirty job. And we believe we are the bridge to the generation born in the 80s and 90s. A bridge is the smallest part of the road, but it is indispensable, especially if you can't fly. So the fourth generation is now those born in the 80s and 90s. Very dynamic, largely unorganized anyway. Then the other generation is that of my son, Nico. Those born in 2000 to 2020. Those are the generations. I want to, after accepting your challenge to be a mentor and opening my door, I believe the narrow-mindedness in this country, and sometimes we sort of tribalize everything. So you Acholinize Mao if he does something bad. You Nyankolenize Museveni if he does something bad. You Ugandanize somebody if he does something bad. The generation before us, Amelia studied in Sacred Heart. She knows the good Acholis and the bad Acholis. General Ronda studied in Kitgum High. My father studied in Namiliango, where I also went. But now, you grew up in Kisoro, you live in Kisoro, you study in Kisoro. The farthest you go is Kabale University. And then you become agricultural officer in Kabale district. Tell me. So, I am proposing, the idea of the national service is a good thing. I want somebody from Acholi to go and do national service in Luwero and meet families of those who were killed by so-called Acholi soldiers. I want somebody from Bugisu to go and do national service in Kasese. Because if I'm there building houses for old people in Moroto and I'm from Nyabusozi, probably I will appreciate more that why don't they have milk coolants which are tax-free while we have them in Nyabusozi? Because young people, you are supposed to ask questions. So I intend to continue this work of emptying myself. So now draw a pyramid in your mind and divide it into 5 so that you decide where you fall in the matters of power and you see how you can rise. The bottom are spectators, they're the majority. Above, the second from the bottom are those we call active citizens. The third are those we call movers and shakers. The fourth are called national power players. Then at the top is those we call master of the universe. So where do you fall? And where is your source of power? I want you young people, before you aspire for power, to understand power. Briefly, you either have money, because money can buy the things that can make you powerful. In America, there are 2 rich men, Tom Steyer and a certain guy, one for Republican, one for Democrat. And when they call Joe Biden and Sanders is there saying, I don't believe in Biden, he's a captive to corporate. This man calls them and says, you are going to work together. I'm telling you. Then you see Sanders calling a press conference. For the interest of the United States of America, I endorse the candidature of Joe Biden. Because he got a call with someone who can give him $1 billion to do a campaign. Now that is the reality, not the fiction in your head. 2, ideas. You can have a force of ideas. Some of us have ideas that make people uncomfortable, like my famous idea of the Nile Republic. Every time I say it, people say, what? You want to take our oil? They say, but it is in my village. So who says this? When I talk of northern Uganda breaking away from Uganda, the other day they even do a complete cabinet chart of the Republic of Northern Uganda. And that's my idea, and I put it there. And I say, either we are equal in Uganda, or we become good neighbors. It is as simple as that. I would love to be your neighbor, if we can't be in the same village. The third source of idea of power is force. And that's one Museveni has mastered. So you drive him in the direction of force, it is like fighting a crocodile in water. And fourth, the power of crowds. Now, my comrades of people power, you know that is your main power. And that is why it is being hit through scientific what? Election. That is your source of power. The fact that your leader can mobilize crowds and he can sweep people through the streets and do what? That's your source. It is what? A human wave. That's your source of power. And the one who doesn't want to be moved, make sure that you won't be able to do it. I want to talk to you more. I talked to your principal the other day.
Yes.
I'm going to meet him again. But crowds are a source of power. Macron did it in France until he disappointed the crowds. Then they turned into yellow vests and now confronted him. So it is a slippery source of power because the crowd can easily be distracted by another person. Then you see that the crowd is moving but not behind you. Especially if you disappoint them. And then you have government authority. That's a source of power. And lastly, reputation. If you have a good reputation, those who want to... I said if your power is crowds, they make sure you can't gather crowds.
Yeah.
If you have money, they overtax you, rob you. If you have ideas, they try to discredit your ideas. If you have force, they also counter it with bigger force. Now, if your force power is government authority, they overthrow you from government. If your power is reputation, they call you a mole, like General Muntu and Mao. They like Gashumba, they destroy your reputation. Because if people know that you're a person of integrity, you have clean hands, you're not corrupt, they must keep on hammering in the art of power. And you answer the following questions. What are the forms of power? I've told you. How is it wielded? For you or against you? If it is against you, you resist it. If it is for you, you support it. So don't ask me why the corrupt people are supporting Museveni. The power is being wielded in their interest. They do it for themselves. Who is wielding it? And finally, why is it distributed the way it is distributed? There's even the geography of power in Uganda. Have you studied the geography of power? Where is it concentrated? You used to have a book in geography called Landforms in Africa. So when you look at the morphology of power, the geography of power, even the history of power, currently power is wielded by certain people concentrated largely in southwestern Uganda. That is a fact. There was a time power was wielded by people largely from the northern part of Uganda. First West Nile, then Central North. Now it has shifted. So very soon we may be studying these ones also as history, because the only thing that doesn't change is the law of change. Thank you very much.
Thank you.